Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Huge Sports Network. For today's episode of the fourth episode of season 1 of the show. So, yeah, as you can see, we got a couple of people going in already. So let's get started. We are going to start with soccer. I'm just going to look up top soccer and then go from there. We're going to start with Premier League. I haven't been watching the games in Premier League, so all I know is that there's 20 teams. But here is what's happened right now. As you could tell, Cristiano Ronaldo has made an impact in Man United, as they're in third now. But Manchester City is also goated as well, along with Liverpool, who has previously won the Champions League a couple years ago. Last year, I think Chelsea was the champions, I believe. Now they're not doing as well as they used to. And in relegation, you got Newcastle United, Burnley, and Norwich City, all in that. And then moving on to our Bundesliga. What is the standings here? You got top 4 in Champions League. Okay. So, yeah, you got the top 4, Bayern Munich, Wolfsburg, Mainz, and Borussia Dortmund. For relegation, you have Frankfurt in the playoffs for the relegation playoffs. And then 17th and 18th, which is Bochum. And whatever that says, I can't, because it's cut off, would be relegated into the next league. Serie A, Tim. How does this one work? Same way as Premier League. Okay. So, top 4 internationales, whatever that says. Roma, Milan, and not this team. Napoli in the top 4. And in relegation, you have Spezia, Verona, and Salernitana. For Spain, you have Atletico Madrid in first. And you have, which is the most famous team in America right now, because that's the only soccer. Really, it's kind of famous around here because there is products that I saw in Marshalls that have Real Madrid on it. I already did Bundesliga. I just did Bundesliga links. Yeah, Valencia, and the 4th team is Atletico Bilbao. Relegation, bottom 3, you have Celta Vigo, Getafe, and Alves. And then the final league of the Big 5, and then we move to the MLS, would be France. As the Big 5 is England, Spain, France, Italy, and Germany. As that's what I consider the Big 5. Alright, here is France's league. Top 2, we have Paris Saint-Germain. I think that's where Messi's at right now. So, of course, they're doing well. And then you got Lens. And in relegation, you have St. Anthony's, and Meds. All right, for the MLS, as the playoffs is about to get ready soon and about after November ends, I think so. We got about the rest of September, October, and November. Actually, it ends in the beginning of November, so really there's only 1 month left of the entire season. So teams could start getting eliminated soon from playoff contention. As you can see, we are in 6th. We were in 5th yesterday, but we lost against Atlanta. Literally, yeah, you can blame that one on me because 2 days ago I said Atlanta sucks while I was streaming FIFA. So that's my fault. So yeah, that's standings. You got New England in 1st, Nashville in 2nd, New York City in 3rd, Orlando in 4th, Atlanta in 5th, Washington in 6th, and Montreal in 7th in the Eastern Conference. Everybody else is not in the playoff contention. You have to be in the top 7 to make the playoffs. And for the West, you got Kansas City in 1st place, Seattle in 2nd, Denver, Colorado in 3rd, LA Galaxy in 4th, Salt Lake City or Utah in 5th, Portland in 6th, and Minnesota in 7th. Also, if you are in 1st place, you get a first round bye just like the NFL. So Kansas City and New England, you probably will not be playing in the first round. You might make it to, and you're going to make it to what they call the semifinals. Really, we see it as a divisional round, I think, or conference semifinals. So yeah, that's basically the standings of soccer right now. Oh wait, one more league. It's NCAA. I forgot about NCAA. NCAA, here is the rankings as a bunch of the records have already gone by. Currently in 1st place is Georgetown. Then in 2nd is Clemson. 3rd is Washington. 4th is the Mountaineers. 5th is Pittsburgh, Marshall, Akron. Maryland Terrapins are in 8th. New Hampshire, Tulsa, Indiana, Duke, Florida International, Kentucky. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that really haven't heard of. Well, a lot of colleges I've never heard of because, again, this is not football where you get the same teams who are always popular because they never lose, especially Alabama. But you don't see Alabama on the soccer list. As they just didn't make it that far. Alright, that's it for the soccer unit. Now we're moving on to the hockey unit, as hockey is the 4th most popular sport in America. So we're going down again. When it comes to the NHL, September 25th, what's today? September 19th. The NHL kicks off in 6 days. Hockey will come back in about 6 days as the first game will be the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Both of them were in North Division rivals last year. But now they changed up all the divisions back to what they are used to be, which is Metropolitan. I'll just show you the standings. You got the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So you got the Atlantic, Metropolitan, Central, and Pacific. And as you can see, for me, as a Washington Capitals fan, it's good news for me to see Boston leave. But it's bad news to see the Sabres leave because they are an easy ticket and they were easy to take on. For the teams that came back, however, Columbus, maybe that could be the new Buffalo Sabres for our division because they weren't that good last year. But Carolina, that's somebody we got to fear. And as you probably noticed, now Seattle Kraken is new to the league, and their debute's going to begin soon. Hopefully they don't turn out to be like Las Vegas and almost win the Stanley Cup within the first year they ever play. The Washington Capitals stopped that from happening. So yeah, as you can see, for everybody's first games, I believe each week starts on... Well, I don't know. They don't really go... Each week is at least two games or something in hockey world. You also got more games on Sunday, which is next Sunday, not this Sunday. So about a week from now, we're going to be playing the Bruins. Hopefully, we do not have an NFL game on that day as well, because I won't be able to watch the NHL. Because, again, I will be busy watching the NFL. And as you can see, Now this is just a preseason. I think the regular season begins in somewhat towards the end of October. So that's about almost a month away. So yeah, hopefully hopefully the Capitals and all the rest of the teams are doing well in training camp to make this league interesting this year. Last year we lost to the Boston Bruins in the playoffs. So yeah. Alrighty, for, I believe, NCAA hockey, this is one of the only few sports that actually has colleges from Canada in it as well. Because, again, the NHL originally was from Canada, but it expanded to the U.S. Where is it? Oh, I went past it. Men's hockey. Yeah, Alaska's a famous team for some reason. These games start at 12 a.m. in Minnesota. Who starts a hockey game at 12 in the morning? You crazy. You won't be done until 3 a.m. Alright, what are the rankings right now? This was from last year, I think. As I believe last year was UMass who became the champions. As there are a lot of teams. As the Big Ten is in this league. People who compete in this league who are really good, could end up being drafted in the NHL. So just keep an eye on that. So teams to watch is everybody in here, the top 15. Teams that are in my conference, I believe, is Minnesota in our conference? I think they were. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and yeah, so there's three teams in the Big Ten that's in here. As it would be 7th, 8th, and 9th. Now, of course, if you don't recognize some of these again are from Canada. And that is it for hockey. Moving on to the third most popular league in the United States, basketball. We're going to get right to the NBA if I can find it. Now, I don't think the NBA starts until next month. I don't know why. Where is the NBA? Right here. So, I believe the NBA season... Oh, okay, I guess they released their preseason schedule. So, now it starts earlier than it was going to. It is now going to start on October 3rd, which is also not that far away from now. As we'll kick off the preseason with the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers, who just recruited Russell Westbrook on their team. So now they have not just a duo, but a trio on that team. Now, notice, I still don't know why they didn't clear this yet. In the future, the NBA is planning on making an expansion. But what I've heard is they are going to pick the cities of Las Vegas and Seattle, as what I've heard so far. I thought it was going to be Seattle and Baltimore because you got to have one in the Eastern Conference and one in the Western Conference. But no, they picked two people in the West, so therefore somebody's going to have to move to the Eastern Conference. So one of these 15 teams is most likely going to end up moving to the Eastern Conference now because of this. So the eastmost team out of the Western Conference will probably switch. Which is most likely either Dallas or San Antonio. Or Houston. It could be Houston, actually. Yeah, I think Houston... No, wait. There's even more teams. You got OKC and New Orleans. I think the Pelicans might end up switching to the Eastern Conference, actually. If Las Vegas and Seattle get a team. Which we know Seattle most likely will be getting a team. It's just down between Las Vegas and Baltimore, according to Adam Silvers. And to be honest with you, Oklahoma City and New Orleans should have already been in the Eastern Conference, but because of the fact that there's so many Eastern teams, they can't be in the East. Just look at them all. Most of these come from the Atlantic coast. Are literally inches away from the Atlantic coast or something like that. Like, Philadelphia. Why wouldn't... Here's my question. If New Orleans and Oklahoma City... No, if New Orleans is more east than Milwaukee, why isn't the Bucks in the Western Conference? That's a great question. Because that just doesn't make sense, right? Wouldn't they be in the east, in the West, and Louisiana in the East? If that were the case, then both Oklahoma City and Louisiana would be in the East if Seattle and Las Vegas would get a team as well. As there are a lot of crazy things. So yeah. Again, here are the first couple of games. As who do we play first? I doubt we will win because we lost our key players. We play okay, never mind. I think we will win because we play the Rockets. So my team plays the Rockets on the 5th of October, which would also be, I believe, the first day of the first round of the Tourmaline Cup as well, but we'll talk about that later. As I have some things set up. But now let's talk about NCAA basketball, even though it hasn't started yet. Wrong zone. Where's NCAA basketball? Right here. So yeah, you got your champions, the Baylor. We still have no news on when the basketball season schedule will come out. We'll actually look up the top 25. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the basketball season starts on November 9th. I just had to switch to top 25, and here are the rankings. I don't think y'all seen it yet, but it looks like Baylor is still number 1. Well, actually, the Baylor just took over Was it Gonzala? Or Gonzaga, who's fallen to 2nd. Honolulu. Is that Honolulu? No, that's Houston. Why did I say Honolulu? Houston made it in the top 4, and Michigan did as well. If you're in the top 25, because basketball has 64 colleges in the league, you're most likely going to make the playoffs. Some people in the top 25 may also make the playoffs as well, as this is the biggest playoff in the entire NCAA association, with their football being the smallest because they only get 4 teams. So yeah, anything you see here is most likely going to make it in. Well, this is the final rankings from last year. Now I'm going to go to my conference, which is was the Big Ten. I don't know where we are. Where are we? What division are we in this? Okay, so I don't remember what conference we are in the basketball association because the Big Ten is not on here. I didn't know that. I know it's not Big 12, right? It's not Big 12. We should just have the same conferences in all the leagues to not make it confusing. Because now I need to find where I'm at. Alright, let me just click Maryland and click standings. Big Ten. Or did I click football? No, this is basketball. So yeah, this is the Big Ten. It wasn't listed on the site, though. That makes no sense. In this league, the conferences are combined because sometimes it's split into East and West. In here, it's not. As you can see, we did not do too well. We got 8th out of all 14 in our conference. And of course, Nebraska's last again. But the good news is we're beating our rival, PSU. All right, moving on to the second most popular sport in America, baseball. Let's start with Major League Baseball. As the playoffs is about to begin sooner than you think, as I believe it starts in around October. Today's the 19th, by the way, so the polls will also open up in 2 days for the season voting. And here are the standings. Now, here's the thing. For the Eastern Conference, the Tampa Bay Rays, I believe, have clinched the playoffs at this point. It doesn't say one. I don't think anyone says 100% right now. I don't think there's a bug with that. So if it says greater than 99.9%, that means they clinched the playoffs. So the Tampa Bay Rays have made it again. Now for the Boston Red Sox, Toronto Blue Jays, and the New York Yankees, they still have a chance. But the Baltimore Orioles do not have a chance as they are eliminated. Now for the Central Division, the Chicago White Sox clinched the division, and everyone else in that division is eliminated. So that includes the Guardians, the Tigers, the Royals, and the Twins, which the Minnesota Twins have always sucked at everything, but we are worse than them, so we can't say much. We're worse than everybody, and that says something. In the AL West, nobody has clinched the playoffs in the West yet, as Houston is about to make it in, but they have not finished the job yet. They have a 99.1% chance of making the playoffs, which means there's a 9.9% chance they will not. If it strikes that chance, I don't know what will happen. All right, moving on to the National League. National League East. With Atlanta in first place right now, Philadelphia is also making his debut. Oh yeah, in the West, Seattle is still not eliminated? Holy frick, they are making a long stand. But the Anaheim Angels and the Texas Rangers are both eliminated. National League, the Miami Marlins and the Washington Nationals are both eliminated. But everyone else is still in it, including the Atlanta Braves, Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Mets. As they have a chance. The Mets have a small chance, and they are on the brink of being eliminated right now. In the Central Division, as you can see by the letter Z, that means they've clinched, but I've already known that some other teams must have clinched as well. If that's the case, there's, according to logic, that the 99.9% is not clinching the playoffs. Well, I guess in that case, there's only a couple of teams who've clinched the playoffs. And that's San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Milwaukee. And since there's 3 spots taken up in the Western Conference, there's only 2 left. So, therefore, one of them is going to be from the East Conference. And the other one of them is from the East Division of the National League. And the other one can be from anywhere else. Who would be the most likely to get it? Who would be the most likely to get the wild card? That would be most likely the St. Louis Cardinals, according to their ratings at 57.3%, which they proved a lot. Now for NCAA baseball. As you can see, we currently have Vanderbilt as the champions. And at number 1, we have Mississippi State, though. So, and the fact that Mississippi State lost... Oh, no, it was Mississippi State that won. Never mind. I read it wrong. So, as you can see, my Maryland Terrapins are in 25th right now. But again, the baseball season doesn't start until spring sports begins, which is the same schedule. If you're in high school, you probably know about the fall, winter, and spring sports kind of thing. How there's 3 different periods of sports. Right now, it's fall sports until like November. And then winter sports would begin. But I think college football might be an exception, as sometimes it goes far longer a little bit. To be honest with you, because summer sports could be fun too, I would probably do. What would be a good summer sport? Cornhole. That's a good sport. But that would be more of a unified sport rather than a actual competitive thing. So yeah. And plus I have been playing cornhole throughout the summer anyways. And now we're underway for fall sports. So now for me and my school I'm doing tennis right now. Well, unified tennis. So yeah. Alrighty, enough talk about baseball. We are moving to the next sport, which is football. This is divided into two sections: the real life football and access football. As access football's got a bunch of things going on right now as well. Let's move to the NFL first. In the NFL, there are a lot of games today because today is Sunday. We have the Chiefs and the Ravens, the Bengals and the Bears, the Texans and the Browns, the Rams and the Colts, Bills and the Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, 49ers, Eagles, Raiders, Steelers, Saints, Panthers, Broncos, Jaguars, Vikings, Cardinals, Falcons, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Chargers, and Titans and Seahawks. And for the other games, for the game that happened this Thursday, the Washington football team took on the Giants and won by 1 point. For the standings, sadly, we are in fourth in our division. It always sucks to be fourth in my division. But that's because we are turning into the San Francisco 49ers of last year. We're suffering millions of injuries. Every year there's a team that suffers a lot of injuries, and this year it's us. As we lost J.K. Dobbins, Gus the Bus, and whoever our tertiary runner was as well, along with a bunch of other people. And yeah. Now the number one spot in each division will make the playoffs, and there will also be wild cards. So here's how it would work. So if the season were to end today, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Raiders would be the division champions. But for the wild card, it would go to the Chiefs, the Bengals, and I believe either New England or Jacksonville. Let's see. It would be Jacksonville. So the Jaguars would make it, surprisingly, if the season were to end today. Now for the National League, it would be the Eagles, the Lions for the first time in so long, the Saints, and the 49ers. But for a wild card, I think it would be... For wild card, it would be the Washington football team, the Buccaneers, and the Rams. Yeah, there was a lot of losses last week. I don't know why it is divided into Monday Night Football as well. So yeah, now we're moving on to NCAA football, which is currently active as well as soccer, except the MLS, as the MLS is active for a long period of time, as they usually start towards April. But they're not like most leagues. Most soccer leagues normally began about a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever it was. I think it was a month ago. So yeah, as you can see, week 3 is underway. We won our game, I think, against Illinois. So here's the standings. As you can see, Alabama's still number 1. The top 4, I believe, make the playoffs. So you got the Crimson Tide, Georgia, Oklahoma University, and Oregon. Now for my Maryland Terps, we still have 14 votes. And USC has lost a lot of votes. So has Texas and Utah. Because you have to have at least like about 164 or more to be on that board right now to pass Michigan. And the fact that USC now only has 14 must mean something. So next up is week 4 for the top 25, I believe. You have Georgia in 2nd, Penn State in 10th, Notre Dame in 12th, Wisconsin in 18th, Virginia Tech in 15th, and Miami in 24th, as those games would happen. I don't think, according to what the site says, that the Penn State game will not be broadcasted. Hopefully all games get broadcasted because they all deserve to be broadcasted. If you're a Coast Carolina or UMass fan, I thought that was a Canada team. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about the Hockey Canada thing. I don't know. I don't know why Colorado State looks like my rival high school's logo. Like, so much. It's the exact same colors, too. And the exact same team name. It just doesn't make sense. Like, who copied who? Here's what I think. Because there's a top 25, why can't we just have a normal playoff and have more teams in it? We could have 16 if you want. So yeah, that's that. Now let's football as we talk about the end of the second round of the Cup. I believe next week we would be done with the quarterfinals and semifinals, so the next episode we'd be able to talk about that. So yeah, as you can see, there are 2 tournaments up and running right now. One of them is not going to start till next month. And the brackets are still subject to change in the 2021 Tourmaline Cup. So let's talk about the Sapphire Cup first. Last time we discussed about all the teams that made it. As you can see, here was the first round. Now for the second round, let's talk about the second round. The San Francisco Sharks defeated the Tennessee Bloodhounds defeated the San Francisco Sharks to get to the quarterfinals, along with the Winnipeg Devil Cats' surprise loss to the Boston Whalers. So congratulations. Our first matchup would be the Tennessee Bloodhounds at the Boston Whalers in the quarterfinals. The winner of that game will move to the semifinals. And you know it's serious when you're in the semifinals, because there's not that many teams under the spotlight once there's about like 4 or anything less than 10. In this area right here, you have the Montreal Terrapins beat the Philadelphia Express. That game, when I simulated it, was the most insane football game I've ever seen. It was... Montreal was down by like 3 or 4 possessions. Montreal came back. And the only reason they won that game at the end was the interception that they made. And then they drove that down the field with barely any time left and ended up beating the Philadelphia Express. Now for the Seattle Bruins and the Carolina Rebels game, sadly, the game was not a good game, as it was not a close game at all. I thought it would be because both Seattle and Carolina have something to prove. But Seattle ended up falling short, so now the second game of the quarterfinals will be the Montreal Terrapins taking on the Carolina Rebels. And then we move on to this section in the third section. You have the Kansas City Wranglers, who have beaten the Orlando Rockets with a Kansas City miracle, as they had to come back in that game. And for Vancouver and Green Bay, Vancouver made a blowout against the Green Bay Axemen, who are the previous Peridot Cup champions, which means we will have a new champion for this year.
Anyways, are we going to get rid of this later today?
As you have the Kansas City Wranglers taking on the Vancouver Mallards. And for this final group, we had the Chicago Lakehawks defeat the Baltimore Braves because the Baltimore Braves quarterback threw several interceptions. In my opinion, I liked Husson better than I like Lynn, as Husson was a way better quarterback than Lynn was. Lynn has thrown interception after interception after interception. Hopefully, when Access 21 comes out for mobile, I will find out that he's released, because I cannot stand Lynn anymore. He's just thrown so many interceptions. He costed us to be eliminated in the second round for not two consecutive cups, one cup. Because in the last cup it was Husson, because we used to use the 2017 version, now we use the 2019 version. So now everybody's rousters are a little bit different. But there still are some returning members like Tommy Rucker, who ended up losing to Vancouver, which is a whole new team. And then the most surprising blowout is the St. Louis Racers and the Minnesota Pride. St. Louis ended up winning against the Minnesota Pride, and also is going to the quarterfinals. So both Tennessee and St. Louis, which are usually the two worst teams in the league, ended up moving on. Well, actually, Philadelphia is the worst in the XAFL right now, but St. Louis and Tennessee are still pretty bad at football. Not going to lie, if you've seen the XAFL and what their standings were. So the fact that they are in the quarterfinals is crazy. So the matches are the Tennessee Bloodhounds at the Boston Whalers and the Montreal Terrapins at the Carolina Rebels on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have the Kansas City Wranglers at the Vancouver Mallards and the Chicago Lakehawks at the St. Louis Racers. Now, out of each game, we will have one winner, and then they will play each other in the semifinals. The quarterfinals will only last for 2 days, rather than 4 days for the second round. So after the 2-day break, which is started today and continues through tomorrow as well. But on Tuesday and Wednesday will be the quarterfinals, and then we have another 2-day break until the semifinals, which starts this Saturday. And then we have another 2-day break, and then we will have our championship game on the 28th. And now for the Tourmaline Cup. The Tourmaline Cup has seeding, so depending on your position in the last cup will determine what seed number you are. So if you lost in the play-in tournament, you're guaranteed to play in it again, because you would be in the bottom 4 seeds. You would be in as the bottom 8 seeds actually play in the play-ins. So everyone who's lost in the play-in tournament and the 4 worst teams who've lost in the first round will end up playing in the play-ins. So yeah, here are the seedings. As you can see, it starts out with teams opposite of each other. As you can see, in the play-in tournament, Washington Senators and the Detroit Firebirds will play, along with Miami and Pittsburgh, and then New York and Las Vegas and Nebraska and Oklahoma City. The 4 teams that lost in the play-in tournament are going to be playing as the home team, while the others will play as the away team. As according to the rules here, it's reversed. So as you can see, there are rankings. First seed right now is... Now, if you come with the seeds, the top 8 seeds are not determined yet. So if you see Boston have number 1 or Carolina have number 2, those are not final until they're eliminated out of the tournament. Because if Boston gets eliminated right now, they would be anywhere from 5th through 8th seed. But if, for example, let's say, who's in 8th right now? Let's say the Vancouver Mallards win. If the Vancouver Mallards wins their game in the quarterfinals, they're going to be guaranteed to be in the top 4. So again, your opponent. So if you're the top 8 right now, your opponent is not final. But if you're anywhere from 9th to 36th place, your matches will be. You will not be moving anywhere. Your seat would be guaranteed. So if you have a match that does not have 1st through 8th seed in it, that's who you play. But if your opponent or yourself has a seed of 1 through 8, your opponent will not be final until you are eliminated out of the Sapphire Cup. As you can see, Minnesota's actually at the bottom again. Last time they were at the bottom of the cup, and they're going to again when they play Dallas. If you finish in the top, I believe, the top 18, you're probably going to play an away game in the first game that you play. Well, actually, I think it should be the higher seed has the home stadium, actually. So, yeah, we'll do it that way. So, whoever has the higher seed will play at home. Whoever has the lower seed will play it away. Well, actually, no. Who has the better seed plays at home, I should say, because number 1 is lower than 2, but 1 is better than 2 when it comes to seeding. And as you can see, there is a new feature. It's called the Bronze Match. This will take place on the same day as the Tourmaline Cup Finals. This will happen before the Tourmaline Cup Finals. It will determine who's going to be 3rd seed and who's going to be 4th seed in the next cup. Which I don't remember what November's cup was named. But again, that's what that will be for. If you're a 3rd seed, you will be playing at home. If you're a 4th seed, depending on your seeding, actually, in the bronze match, will actually determine where you play as well. So, a lot of things to look forward to. Here is the printed copy. You can go ahead and screenshot this if you want. I'm actually going to move it a little bit. we'll have it like that. You can screenshot this if you want. I'm not going to post it on my website until the 28th, which is when the cup ends. Well, it's when the Sapphire Cup ends. Well, actually, no. Don't even screenshot this because it's not even final. Because once the Sapphire Cup ends, then the seeding will be final, and then it will be appropriate for screenshotting. That's why it says right here in this little dialogue right here, this bracket is a preview and subject to change until the tournament is started. This is exactly true. Because again, the seedings, and that's how that works. I know it's a new system, but we'll see how it works. So now for me as a Baltimore Braves fan, we play the Houston Bombers first at a home game. And it looks like we are in Group 1. As you can see, there are 4 groups. I usually classify everything as 4 groups to make everything simple. In Group 1, you have the Washington Senators, Detroit Firebirds, Boston Whalers, Winnipeg Devil Cats, Arizona Heat, Vancouver Mallards, Indianapolis Gladiators, Baltimore Braves, and the Houston Bombers. All part of Group 1. The only team in this division that I'm actually familiar with is Indianapolis. Because all the other teams that we've had in Group 1 this time are in other divisions now. For Group 2, you have the Miami Warriors, Pittsburgh Ironhawks, Kansas City Wranglers, Philadelphia Express, Cincinnati Royals, Montreal Terrapins, Mexico City Jaguars, Orlando Rockets, and the Cleveland Coyotes, who are currently in Group 3, New York Barons, Las Vegas Outlaws, Carolina Rebels, Seattle Bruins. I think Seattle's going to end up playing Carolina again, just to let y'all know that, if they make it to the second round. So it could be a repeat of the entire first cup, unless if Carolina loses. Or Seattle loses to Atlanta, which I don't see happening. There's also the Tennessee Bloodhounds, Los Angeles Tide, Green Bay Axemen, and the Denver Mountaineers. And everybody else, Group 4, Nebraska Thunder, Oklahoma City Cyclones, Chicago Lakehawks, San Francisco Sharks, Buffalo Grizzlies, St. Louis Racers, Louisiana Gators, Minnesota Pride, and the Dallas Deputy. And that's about it for today's episode of Huge Sports Network. For Huge Sports Talk. If you guys enjoyed me talking about sports and everything, click the subscribe button, and we will see you guys next week.